We will be starting shortly. We will be starting shortly. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superintendent Live Fireside Chat with Dr. Watts. We are so grateful for all of you who are watching the live stream. My name is Dee Daniels. I'll be your host tonight, and I'm also the host of the SCCPSS podcast called After the Bell, which you can listen to on any of your favorite podcast platforms. But tonight, I have the honor of sitting down with our superintendent, Dr. Watts, to have a very special one-on-one conversation all about your feedback and where things are going. Dr. Watts, it's so good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
This is going to be a great conversation. I know we said it's a fireside chat. You may not see the fire, but you and I are bringing the fire tonight with this conversation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, the goal of this conversation, we want to let you know, is to hear how the district will act on your feedback. In the past 2 months, we've actually heard from thousands of you, staff, students, families, community members, and today Dr. Watts will share the plans for school district priorities for the next 5 years, which are a response to all of the valuable input that you provided. Now, this is going to be an interactive session, so we're going to start by having a conversation with Dr. Watts, and then we're also going to embed a very fun audience poll within that conversation via menti.com, and we'll get to that first poll in just a few minutes. Many people also submitted questions for you, Dr. Watts, ahead of time, and we're going to have a chance to address some of those questions today, but don't fret if you submitted a question and we're not able to address it today. Please know that it will be addressed in the coming weeks as the strategic plan rolls out. So without further ado, Dr. Watts, it's me and you. You ready?
Awesome. Ready to go.
All right. So let's start off with a big one. What is your vision for where our district will be in 2031?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you all for participating today. I'm excited to be able to share a little bit about some emerging ideas that we have from our strategic plan. But my vision is quite simple, simply stated, which is by 2031, I want SCCPSS to be known for one thing. And that one thing is, above all else, every child in every school, every day, will have access to a consistent, high-quality, future-ready educational experience. I would like that vision to not exist in pockets as it may today. We have pockets of schools that provide that level of excellence. I would like to see that happen district-wide for every student, every day, at every school. We want students to obviously leave us strong in literacy, strong in numeracy, but also well-rounded for a future that we can predict but is yet to be here yet. For our families and for our staff, I also have a vision, and that vision is that we are a more responsive, more transparent, and more operationally reliable district. So in simple terms, stronger academics, stronger experience for a well-rounded student that's ready for the future, stronger trust, and stronger systems.
I love that. That's a fantastic vision. What do you most want our community to know about how stakeholder input is shaping the new strategic plan?
Absolutely. So what was and has been exciting for me as our development process has unrolled is the level of input and feedback and engagement. Over 4,500, I think to be exact, 4,588 individuals have in some way, shape, or form given us input and insight into the strategic plan. And what that says to me is that people are really leaning in and they are demanding an educational experience that is that builds on our strengths, but is improved as we look down the road. So excited about the focus groups, the interviews, and I want to thank everybody for participating. The themes have been remarkably consistent. People see our strengths as being our educators, some of our programs, some of our partnerships, but people have also been really clear about the need for consistency, stronger communication, better student supports, more accountability, and more and equitable access. So the strategic actions that are coming out of the plan are going to be a direct response to those themes.
Yeah, and it's amazing to hear that number and how many people are speaking up. It
Huge.
shows the care, the concern. Now, as we said before, thousands of you, staff, students, families, community members, really spoke, and we'd like to show you a summary of what we heard. If you'd like to see this, you can visit sccpss.com. Dr. Watts, I'd like to dig into some of what we see
Absolutely.
here. One of the district strategic actions is strengthening teaching and learning experiences, and you touched on that just a moment ago. And stakeholders also named consistent school experiences as an area needing improvement. Now, what are some of the priorities and strategies in the strategic plan related to teaching and learning that will improve consistency that you mentioned across schools?
Sure. So some of the things that are emerging that we know we want to address in the new strategic plan, things like a consistent instructional framework. And so when I think about that, I align it to an idea around Chick-fil-A. Everybody's been to Chick-fil-A,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves Chick-fil-A.
That's right.
We know that we have a Chick-fil-A right around the corner off Victory, and we also have one in Pooler, and there's probably some other ones across not only the Savannah-Chatham area, but across the country, across the state. And there's one thing you know when you go to Chick-fil-A, is that you're going to get a really good #1 sandwich with 2 pickles.
That's it.
The bread's going to be awesome.
Yep.
And that chicken is going to be fried to perfection. And
Delicious.
whatever the secret sauce they're putting to the side just takes it to the next level, right? You're going to get that same experience regardless of the Chick-fil-A you go to. That's why we all go to Chick-fil-A. We
right.
don't have any reservation about
That's
going
right.
to Chick-fil-A. So to liken that same concept or analogy to what a student should be experiencing. A student should not have to wonder, or a parent should not have to wonder or hope that I get A teacher over B teacher, or I get to go to this school versus this school, or I have to go to this school because I live in this zip code, right? Every student should show up in a classroom and in a school that they get the same consistent instructional framework. If we're learning multiplication tables at this school, then when you show up the next week at another school or in another classroom, that same type of learning opportunity should be provided. But I want to extend that beyond literacy, numeracy, because one of the ways that I'm describing in our new strategic plan the educational quality that I want is an experience. So when I think about an experience, when I think about my own children, right, when they got in the car every day, I didn't say, well, how were your test scores?
Right.
Right? I wanted to know, how did somebody make you feel today? When did you laugh? Well, how was that field trip? Well, what was that experience? Like, I wanted to dig into their experience. And what we want students to experience consistently from school to school, classroom to classroom, is an environment in which they feel seen, they have a sense of belonging, they're engaged, not only just in activities around numeracy and literacy and science, social studies, but the fine arts, field trip experiences. And I want to be able to say by the end of our strategic plan, if you are a student K-5, you have had these 3 to 5 experiences. You've been on a field trip to this place, and this place. You've participated in this activity. And that should be consistent so that when a student leaves our school district, we can put a stamp on those experiences and say, every student has had this whole experience that prepares them for the next level. So it's really that total experience and the consistency in how we provide it that I'm going after.
Absolutely. And now we all want a little Chick-fil-A, but regardless,
Yes.
that's
Go after this.
fantastic analogy. I love that. Stakeholders named dedicated educators as a strength, but staff's sustainability as a growth area. How will improving recruitment, onboarding, and long-term support for staff improve staff workload and wellness? Such an important conversation there.
Absolutely, very important. When schools, first of all, are understaffed, and people do not feel supported, the burden gets shifted to the people who remain. The people who are there to cover the classroom where the teacher is not there, or to cover the bus route, to cover the duties. So we have to, in general, strengthen and make more aggressive our ability to not only attract talent, but retain talent. So in the new strategic plan, you'll see efforts to do that. But in addition to that, I'll also add that onboarding and induction, that first year in a job is a make or break year.
So
and I know that because my first year is not too far in the rearview mirror for me, right? As I'm ending year 3. And the way people feel supported, not just when they go to their Sophie formal orientation where you sign all the pieces of paper, that's important, don't get me wrong, right? But when you are faced with a challenge in the here and the now, do you know the lifeline to call? When you need development in a skill or coaching around a problem or practice that is emerging in real time,
Right.
who is left to call? Who do you call on? Who do you have by your side, knee to knee, shoulder to shoulder, that's helping you get through those things? So we want to be really more intentional about what coaching, development, support looks like year 1 and beyond. We want to make sure we're keeping our best and brightest, which means we're going to be doing things like state interviews. Because as we know, about December, January, people start thinking about, might be another opportunity I want to pursue.
Right.
But if somebody could catch them in the right moment and sit down and have a conversation and say, what would it get you, what would it take for you to stay?
Right.
And people had an opportunity to articulate that. In my experience, the answer to that question has always been something that I could deliver on. Maybe it's a move to another grade level. Maybe it's another bus route, right? Maybe it's a future opportunity that you're seeking, but you don't know how to get to that opportunity. Somebody putting you on the pathway to that. A lot of times will stop a person from wanting to exit the district. So I just believe that when people feel supported, also when adults feel seen, heard, and supported, they have a likelihood to stay in the district and perform at a really high level, which will reduce some of the workload, give people a greater sense of satisfaction, and create the talent ecosystem that we need to provide that Chick-fil-A experience
That's
to every
right.
student.
No
Yes.
doubt about it. Wow. And I just, I keep hearing key words there of listening and action, and making all of that a holistic experience, really. One of the priorities named throughout the infographic is something you just touched on too, clearer and more consistent communication. And doing this right here, what we're doing, this Superintendent Live, it obviously feels like a great example of what's to come. Could you give us some other examples of strategies that may support clearer communication that we should maybe expect to see in the strategic plan?
Yes, and I would like to say also that our strategic plan is not a start from the beginning plan. We've put a lot of things already in practice that have given us great momentum to take it to the next level. So as we think about the next strategic plan, I think families can experience a digital family experience platform where they're able to have more engagement. When we are actually going out and engaging families, what I would like to have to be a little bit more consistent is a level of follow-through. If we have a town hall, we then follow that town hall with a cadence of, you said, this is what we heard, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're still working on, or this is what we cannot do. We heard you, right? But we can't deliver on the request. Because I feel like a lot of times when people feel like they give input, but they don't see the action or the follow-through, that creates frustration, and it makes people feel like they weren't heard or they weren't valued. Whatever they said wasn't valued. So that cycle of, this is what we heard, this is what we're going to do, this is something we cannot do, and here is why. I think that will be something that people will experience that is new. We will continue to be responsive. We will continue to be transparent. I call it radical transparency. And that makes some people feel uncomfortable, right? But truth-telling is very important to me. And that doesn't necessarily mean the truth that I tell is going to be the truth that you want or like, but at least to convey that I heard you and this is my response to it is important to me as we think about our next strategic plan.
And that transparency really can be so empowering and lead to such great growth all the way around. I think it's great too that the infographic names, what will be different for various stakeholder groups. For families, what stands out to me is this greater trust, the transparency and accountability. Since the vast majority of our audience are in fact taxpayers, can you relate this aspiration specifically to financial management strategies?
Sure. So one of the things that we've done in the last year is we are looking or having a third party help us come in and build up some of those systems. I think people can expect to see more transparent dashboards so that they can get information more readily, questions being answered within a certain time period. I think working on our customer service around responsiveness will be important. But again, I just want to highlight the importance of having radical transparency, which means we're going to tell not that we haven't told the truth, right? But we're going to share all the information, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
I don't believe in smoke and mirrors. I want people to understand this is what we're dealing with. This is maybe where we dropped the ball and where we need to get better. Because no system is perfect. No district is a perfect district.
That's right.
But we want to also have people stay engaged because that feedback loop around what people need to hear and need to have access to is important so that we can provide the right level of customer service.
I love that. We're not going to sugarcoat it. That's so
not
good.
With me. I'm not a sugarcoater.
We're going to pause and do an audience poll,
Great.
which I'm very excited about. Now, you can visit menti.com using the instructions on the screen to answer our very first audience poll. And based on what you've heard and seen in the infographic, we're asking the question, which strategic action do you think is most important to address quickly? Now, you're going to see some choices here. We've got instructional excellence, also student wellness and experience, talent development and retention, infrastructure and operations, communication, trust and branding, and community partnerships. So we're going to let you vote on that, and while you submit your responses, we're going to continue our discussion, and then we're going to come back and find out the results of that. We had a few questions, Dr. Watts, submitted by folks that were eager to be in on this conversation, so we'd like to give you a chance to address some more of those. I love this topic, too. We had several questions about technology. First, there were a few questions asking if there is a plan to reduce time on technology in classrooms. And second, there were questions about AI, which I know you've got a lot to say about. So let's start with technology in classrooms. How do you envision technology playing a role in instruction, and what limits or guardrails will be put on technology overuse in the classrooms?
Sure. So I think the first thing I'd like to say is technology is a tool. It is not to replace a human. It is not to replace the experience that we want students to have. It's an enabler of learning. It enhances the learning opportunity. It's not the driver, however. We have heard valid concerns about excessive screen time, over-reliance on platforms, and technology being used in ways that really don't deepen learning or deepen that experience. As you look at next year, what we're working to do is to really clarify the educational purpose of technology use in our schools. We want to align it to the experience we want students to have, those outcomes that we want to get, and we want to protect time for that human interaction, the time that students still need to sit with pencil in hand or knee to knee with another person to really get the full experience that we desire. We will be looking to provide some guardrails, but I will tell you, I'm not going into this with the word limit as a criteria for success. That's not the way that I want to look at it, because whether we as adults can see it or not, the future of this country will be a technology-driven world. That's what we're moving
Right.
to,
That's
right?
right.
And whether we are ready as adults to go into that world or not is one story,
Yes.
right?
Whole different conversation.
But our children will have no choice.
That's right.
And it is our responsibility to get them ready for the world that will receive them. And if we walk into this conversation with the word limit as the driver for how we operate, then we will indeed limit student readiness. And I am simply unable to do that, or unwilling, quite frankly, to do that. You see major companies across this country now laying people off because of things like AI. And I had an opportunity earlier this month to sit with a group of people that have connections to businesses and companies. And the reason why CEOs are laying people off is not because of people's lack of ability to use AI, it's their lack of willingness to partner with AI. AI will never take the place of a human, but it can make the work less burdensome. It can advance thinking in a way. I use it every day in my own job, right? So it's about how do we move forward with guardrails, not limits, standards, not trying to put a fence around it, but providing the right type of guardrails that we need so that it can be enabled in the right way.
Absolutely. And before we leave that, I want to make sure, is there anything else you would like to say on AI supporting, the classroom instruction as part of this plan?
We are building an instructional infrastructure framework that will guide teachers and principals next year and in the following year. We really want to promote demonstration classrooms where teachers and principals and district office leaders are partnering with technology in an effective way and showcase those so that people can, you see a lot of stories on how it's used the wrong way, but there's not equal amount of stories on how it's used the right way. So we want to use some of the exemplars that we have in the district to really showcase. But we will be looking at governance and policy that, again, provides some guardrails and direction.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And it's an exciting time to really think about,
It is.
How it can support and be a part of the success for our students. There were also a few questions about safety and culture in schools, another big topic. What are some of the initiatives or strategies in the plan to support safe and productive learning environments?
Yep. So academic progress and the ability for staff to come to school and do their jobs well really depends on safe, stable, predictable environments where there's joy and belonging and safety. And stakeholders told us clearly that behavior and discipline and consistency, as well as student wellness and supports, are important and that they matter deeply. So we have listened to that. As the plan emerges, I think you will see strategies and priorities that align with stronger behavioral and mental health supports. We have a lot of things provided in the district that I think people just don't know about.
Right.
So we got to do a better job of making those things known and more accessible. Early warning systems, so we don't wait till a student is in crisis. We actually begin to see, we're seeing some behaviors, some data that looks like a student is trending in the wrong path. How do we intervene before the student gets to this culminating point where they're not well, they can't be in school, or they're disrupting school for others? Clear expectations around belonging, clear expectations and calibration around discipline. So I think what the public will see from us is that the board and I are very much aligned in consistency around discipline, that teachers have to have environments where students can come to school, and those that are choosing to learn and lean in have that opportunity. And when students maybe need a different environment or a different intervention or a different strategy, we have to apply that in a way so that other students can continue to learn. And so I think people will see a tightening of that. We're doing a lot of work on the policy as it stands today, strengthening the code of conduct to give principals more guidance around what is supposed to happen when there's a rule infraction. So again, we can have that consistency across schools.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of new strategic plans often come with a lot of new initiatives.
Yes.
And I've heard you talking about laying breadcrumbs for this strategic plan over the past 2 years. I'd love for you to talk more about some of the things taking place now that really set the stage for the types of changes that we would expect to see.
Yes, and so I'm very cognizant around change management, and you can't just produce a plan and think that all of a sudden everybody is just going to align to the plan.
Snap to it.
That's not realistic,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So we have been breadcrumbing. This is not a sudden pivot. People will have a different experience next year, but it shouldn't be an experience that they can't internalize and adhere to. So in this next chapter is a continuation of some of the things that we've already started, and now we want to take it to scale, right? So that's been exciting. We've been surfacing themes around consistency. Of course, we've already addressed some of the lower hanging fruit. Next year will be an opportunity to take it to the next level. But again, I want to just remind people that we're not starting from zero here, right? We need to do this incrementally. And so over the next 5 years, we will take things to scale in a way that is bite-sized, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that our teachers, principals, and staff can internalize the change and make that experience manifest for our students and our families. Again, you can only do so many things at one time well. So we want to make sure. So next year is really about breaking ground. Let's break ground.
Yeah.
And then, the next year is about, okay, we broke ground. Now we got to have common ground. How consistent can this be? We want it to be consistent all the way. And at the same time, we're raising the bar, right? So as these things roll out, we give people time to internalize, practice. And I want to just go back to the importance of engagement. The fact that we will continue to need to get feedback from the public so that we have feedback loops.
Right.
Just because you have a plan is not written in concrete. A plan can be changed, modified. If we're going down a pathway that does not work, we can pivot from that. So this is meant to be a living, breathing document. But of course, by the time we get to the end of the 5 years, we want to be at the destination that we aspire to from when we begun the journey.
Yes.
But again, we will breadcrumb it out in a way that people can internalize it and experience the change that we're asking from them in a way that can be done effectively.
And I'm hearing you say that it doesn't mean we're going to not talk again till 5 years from now.
Absolutely.
We're going to keep talking through the whole process.
Absolutely.
I love that. We're going to take another quick pause and check in on our poll, which is very exciting. And I'd love for you to share your thoughts as we get this. I'm actually going to ask for the results from our poll from over here because I can't wait to see what everybody has said. Now, I know we had some great choices here: instructional excellence, student wellness and experience, talent development and retention, infrastructure and operations, communication, trust and branding, community partnerships. Where are we on our poll?
55% of respondents chose instructional excellence.
Wow.
27% chose student wellness and experience. And the remaining 10 were split between communication, trust, and branding and community partnerships.
I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Any surprise?
No surprises. I'm glad to see that there is a strong level of alignment around instruction. That's why we exist, so that our students can have high-quality learning experiences. But I want to emphasize that it takes the whole pie, right?
Yeah.
We can't have strong instructional experiences if our buses don't run, right? If we don't have the right teacher in front of every classroom. So the plan, as it emerges, people will see that there is a interconnectedness or codependencies on each of these areas of the pie, because we just don't believe they exist in silo.
Yeah, absolutely. I love getting these thoughts in real time. I know that you do too.
Yes, absolutely.
We're gonna jump back to some of these other questions that we have, and then we've got another quick poll coming up for you. So don't you worry about that. We expect the final strategic plan to be adopted in June. Is that correct? How will you keep listening? And that was something we were just starting to talk about. Once the plan is adopted, you're talking about this ongoing feedback loop that I'm assuming will exist for students, families, staff, and the community. Everybody's a piece of that pie.
Absolutely. So adoption is not the end of engagement.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. It is the beginning of discipline implementation, but not the end of engagement. We intend to keep listening through regular reporting, structured feedback opportunities, facilitated listening sessions, opportunities where you and I can come together in a similar format so that we can report out what we've heard and what we're going to do. So those feedback summaries and clear follow-through loops will be important in this next strategic plan. We want students, staff, families, and partners to see where we're making progress. We want to be transparent where we're not making progress, right? And transparent on adjustments that need to be made, and how the voices of our stakeholders will need to continue to be heard. You'll also see more opportunities for our students to have a voice in the work. They are often a significant missing piece. In the last year or two, we've launched a student senate that has been so instrumental in providing their voices that have helped shape policy, has guided our board in decision-making. Ultimately, I would love to have a student on our Board of Education where they literally help make policy decisions and guide policy decisions. So listening, I know, without action creates frustration, and we don't want to do that. So the key is that we want to have the feedback also tied to the response.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the big piece that people will see.
Absolutely. And since you brought up the Student Senate, so excited that we had the opportunity to sit down and talk with some of the Student Senate on the podcast. So if you'd like to hear from them directly, check that out on the After the
They are
Bell
amazing.
podcast. Just fantastic way of communication. What is the timeline from plan to practice as far as like what changes should everyone expect to see maybe in the first 6 to 12 months?
Yep. So kind of next year, again, we've kind of named next year as the breaking ground year. That's the first year where people should see early implementation and some early wins that we want to obviously celebrate, some efforts to build coherence and credibility, including just clear expectations. As we move through the process, we will want to build in ways that we can monitor progress, those dashboards that we want to have more transparent, improved onboarding and what that looks like. But again, not everything is going to happen at once. As we move through the 5 years, the bar is going to be raised each year. Accountability will be raised each and every year. But we want the public to see early wins, how the priorities are emerging, where we need to make adjustments. But it's a 5-year cycle, and it's a living, breathing process.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd really love to do another audience poll. I think we can. I think it's time. You can visit menti.com, of course, using the instructions on your screen. This is a good one. You're going to like this one. We want to find out how energized you are to be a part of the next chapter of our school district. We have a couple of options for you to choose from, a few, and we'll let you submit your responses, and then we'll continue our conversation. But how energized are you? Fired up and ready to go? Well, that's a good one. This sounds good. I'm tired but optimistic, and skeptical, but I want to be pleasantly surprised. So those are our choices, and we'll let you submit your responses. And in the meantime, we're going to get back to our conversation. I've got another great question for you here. And again, this is kind of a big one to sort of tie a lot of this together. What is the one thing that you are asking the community, including families and community partners, Chatham County taxpayers, to do to support student success as we move into this next strategic plan?
Yes, stay engaged. That would be the number one thing. And that engagement, it looks like a lot of different things. So engagement is engage with your child at your home. That's one path. Engaged with a group of children, engaged by participating in sessions like this where you can listen and learn and get additional feedback. Engaged where you are checking Power School to know how your child is performing. Engagement means coming to school board meetings. Engagement means emailing me when there is a problem, or emailing the appropriate person when there is a problem that you want to be addressed. You cannot stand on the sideline and complain if you're not involved in the game, right? So I want everybody to stay engaged. Stay engaged. I want you to trust but verify. I want you to hold us accountable. Stay connected to our schools. Partner with us, support attendance, support literacy, and support wellness. But I think the big thing is just stay engaged. The future of our school district is not the school district alone's job. It is a community job. It's the parents' jobs. It's the businesses and partners' jobs, and it takes a village. And if the Savannah-Chatham County region is going to fully thrive, each person has to commit to stay engaged.
I love that. All of those could go on a T-shirt or a bumper sticker, by the way. I love that. And it does. It takes us all. Now, before we see the results of our final poll, we're going to watch a quick video featuring voices from the community. This is a great video talking about our strategic plan process so far.
Every day in Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools, something important is happening. Students are exploring, teachers are collaborating, families are supporting, trusting, and hoping. And together, we're shaping that future. This year, we choose what that future is going to be. Thousands of voices have helped shape this next chapter. Through a survey, focus groups, interviews, and a forum, we've heard from 2,000 staff, 2,000 students, and 700 families and community members.
We will learn it to be meaningful.
Clear communication matters.
We need alignment and focus.
We want to know that you care about our well-being.
Well-being matters for adults too.
We want our children
And our community to succeed.
Thank you immensely for sharing your feedback and perspectives as we develop our strategic plan. We heard you, and as we close out, your perspectives will be used to shape the future of Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools together.
Well, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
I loved that.
That was good too.
That was so good. That was so very good. We're going to check in on our second poll that we did. Is it neck and neck? I feel like it's neck and neck. Am I right seeing that? Yeah. All right. Hey, I like this. This is good. We've got a tie here. We got fired up and ready to go, and we've got skeptical, but I also want to be pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I would affirm, however anyone is coming into this conversation. Again, if you are fired up and ready to go, let's go,
Great.
right? But if you are skeptical, I invite you to continue to hold us accountable and to stay engaged. The words are not abstract. The way people feel is not abstract. It's not to be undervalued. To me, it's a responsibility to convert hope into aspiration, and that's how I am receiving it. The plan matters, but the lived experience matters more. And so I'm fired up and ready to go, and I'm excited about what the future of SCCPSS will be.
I love that. You couldn't have put that any better. Thank you for joining us today for Superintendent Live. We hope that you gained a better understanding of where our school district is headed in the next 5 years. We hope that you see yourself as a part of that journey. If you're interested in learning more about the strategic planning process, you can certainly visit sccpss.com for updates. And thank you, Dr. Watts, not only for what you do, but for sitting down and having this very open and great conversation. I'm excited for what's to come.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.